Presenting today for Florida School Counselor Association is Mrs. Grace Wilhelm, a school counselor of more than 20 years with experience at the elementary and middle school levels. She has presented at FISCA, ASCA, and at international schools overseas. Her presentations include play therapy, disaggregated data, RAMP, and stress management. She has been the Duval School Counselor of the Year and was previously selected as an ASCA School Counselor of the Year finalist. Grace has achieved National Board certification, has received RAMP twice, and is an FDOE PTSA Parent Involvement Award recipient. Her published works include Games and Play to Enhance Counseling and Teaching Strategies, Anger in Me, and Stress Busting. Thank you, Grace, for joining us today. We are eager to hear about your use of SWAY and how you are collaborating with your Duval County counselors. Grace, you now have the floor.
All right, thank you, Jeannie, and thank you, everybody. It's an honor to be here and to present with you. I want to say this is just a crazy moment with the pandemic and things that we have going on. And I want to share with you the collaborative effort that we've been doing in Duval County to meet the needs of our students. So we had to quickly come together as the elementary school counselors, which there are about 130 of us, to share resources for our students digitally, because we are so used to face-to-face meetings with our students, small groups face-to-face, classroom core counseling lessons that are face-to-face. Now we had to share everything digitally. And as we were sharing on our platform Teams, we were coming together and sharing lots of resources for parents, for teachers, for students and families. But we had to find a way to organize this. So a group of 20 of us a little over 20 of us got together, and we decided together that we would collaboratively work and organize everything in PowerPoints. So one of the first things that we did was to create a template for PowerPoints, and we would organize everything in categories and put them in the template, like for anxiety and empathy and consequences, positive choices, career education, coping at home, test taking, COVID-19 lessons, anger management, kindness, manners, respect, listening and following directions, just a variety of things. So as the resources were coming to us, we were putting them in a PowerPoint, and we decided as a group to also build a template so that our PowerPoints were more cohesive and that they were similar so that we could find information. So we did a lot of social emotional learning activities with this, like sharing a book, a social emotional book, or a song, or a brain break, parent and teacher resources, and quotes and discussion questions and all of this. So putting it together in a PowerPoint template made everything similar so that we could find things in a certain order. And first of all, I'm going to share with you the template that we used, that we decided on. So we started out with a title for these PowerPoints to organize all of our information, an introduction of what would be in this PowerPoint, discussion questions to share with students, quotes, like posters and quotes that we would use, a book to share with the students, maybe found on YouTube or a social emotional learning website, discussion questions or a thought after the book, a video to share, maybe found on YouTube, a song to share, a brain break because we need to get these kids out of their chair and get some exercise and moving around, an activity that's downloadable, something to do with paper and pencil cutting or gluing. They can download this at home and do it together. A brain pop or another online activity. And brain pop is just very good with a plethora of resources that you can use. And a quiz in forms or another type of an exit ticket. And that was the PowerPoint that we decided on. So to get this to look alike, after we had all of our resources pulled together in these PowerPoints. Everybody took a category and a grade level, and then that's how we were able to put it together quickly and efficiently. So on our Teams page, this is our Teams page at Duval County, we created a whole separate folder in a file called a virtual counselor after these PowerPoints were done. So this is what it looks like after we put it all together, like empathy for kindergarten through second grade, kindergarten through third grade, digital citizenship, transition to middle schools, this is for fifth grade, hand washing and hygiene, coping with stress, and all these different topics by different grade levels or a combination. So now in just a matter of weeks, we had all these PowerPoint lessons ready and available to share on Teams with our students in live lessons or uploadable lessons as a post. So this was just an excellent resource for all of us to use. So as we were working with the students in this manner, one thing that we found some trouble sharing video was that we had to remember to go in to Teams and to turn on the audio, because that was a feature that we had in Teams to remember to use. Another thing, that when kids were coming in, we had to change them into an attendee mode so that they could not touch the screen or tamper with the video or PowerPoint being shown. But as we got more into it, we discovered that we could take these PowerPoints and turn them into a sway. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that, and I'm going to share this empathy PowerPoint for kindergarten through third grade. This was made by one of our counselors using the template, and this is how it looked. And then I'm going to drop this PowerPoint into Sway, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So then you have a PowerPoint and a Sway, and in PowerPoint, I'm going to show you how to clean up some of it so it looks more presentable to your students. So here we have the title, and then some discussion questions. And I'm keeping this in edit mode so you can see it. Then she has a quote here with something that you might use for a lesson. This would be a video on empathy. Some more quotes, like a poster with a quote at the very bottom. Here's another quote and another quote that I added. This is two read aloud books right here. I Am Human and You, Me, and Empathy. Some discussion questions, a song about empathy, and here's the song in YouTube button, a brain break, how to be the best you, practice empathy. This is an activity, and empathy games and activities, and some resources for parents and teachers. Okay, so I think most of us are familiar with PowerPoint and some of those things to use in PowerPoint. So I'm just going to go back to one of these slides to just show you a couple of tricks. So here is a video on empathy, and I'm going to just show you a quick trick as to how to clean this up. First, I'm going to copy and paste this link. Let me just open it. And this is a YouTube video on empathy. So let's see what it looks like.
Joe loves football. He's been practicing every day so he can get better and get picked to be on a team.
So this is a cute video that she has on empathy. We can read a little bit about it here. And but the most important thing I want to show you today is that, can you see this in the address bar, the URL? Instead of copying this link here, do not do that, because then it will come with ads, and if they have it on automatic to the next video, it'll automatically go into the next video. So to clean this up, the best thing to do when sharing a video on PowerPoint or Sway or wherever you want to share it is to use this share button down here. So to use this video, we're going to click this share button. That will give us a different type of a link. We're going to copy that link right here, and that is what we are going to paste into the PowerPoint. So now we're back into the PowerPoint, okay, and then I'm going to create a new slide. And you see these slides here that come up. You have a lot of different choices. So what are all these choices? Well, the most important thing is that if you are going to be sharing a YouTube video, is to select a slide that has these content buttons right here. So I'm going to pick this slide, and I'm going to say, let's watch this about empathy. And then here where the content buttons are, because there's all different kinds of content buttons. This is for sharing a graph, and this is for sharing a picture from your computer, sharing a picture online, and this one is for sharing video. So we're going to go we're going to insert video. So I'm going to click this video content button right here. And there's going to be a box that comes up to share the link right here. On the left-hand side, I'm going to select video because that's what it is. In the file box right here, I'm going to copy and paste the URL from the share button on YouTube, and then I'm going to insert it. And when I insert this into PowerPoint, it's going to automatically give me a thumbnail to use, and the slide is going to look a lot cleaner than having a URL on the slide. And there it is. It's giving me the empathy video with an automatic thumbnail. And on the right-hand side, it gives me some design options that I might want to use. So I kind of like this first one right here, the way that it is right now. Let's watch this about empathy. And this one is kind of cute too. So if you see one that's a different type of design that you would like to use, go ahead and select that. And you can also make this a little bit bigger or smaller, however you want, however you choose. All right, so since I changed this slide, I'm going to go back to the previous slide, and in this PowerPoint, I'm going to delete that slide. All right, so I'm just looking quickly through this PowerPoint like we saw together, and now I'm going to take this PowerPoint and I'm going to see what happens when I drop this PowerPoint into Sway, another way to save it with the students. So I'm going to exit out of here, and I'm going to go into Sway. There it is. And it just took a minute to open Sway. Okay, so now you should see welcome to Sway. If you're using Microsoft, you will have this waffle. Can you see this waffle that I'm pointing to? Okay, so you will have a waffle with all the different apps that are available to you. And Sway is a Microsoft app, and you might have easy access to Sway. So Sway gives you some options just like PowerPoint. You can create a new one from a blank template, just blanks. You can start from a topic by saying, okay, I want to build a Sway on empathy. And Sway will research things on empathy for you. So for example, if you're building something on responsibility, it will research responsibility for kids or respect for kids or hand washing or whatever your topic is. But we already have a document, it's PowerPoint. So we're going to start from a document. So I'm going to select this, start from a document, and I am going to put the empathy PowerPoint in Sway, and let's see what happens when we do that. Okay, so I clicked the start from a document, and then I uploaded the empathy K-3 PowerPoint into it. Now we're waiting for Sway to do its magic. And okay, so you see that we're creating a Sway from empathy K-3. And this will just take a couple of seconds for it to completely download the PowerPoint into Sway. And this takes a lot of work away from us because Sway automatically builds the Sway for you. So once we get this in here, we can see how it looks. And here's how it looks in editing. So let's go up to the play button and see what Sway has given us. Let's see how it looks without doing anything. So all we did was upload the PowerPoint into it. We're going to see how it looks. So there's the video and some quotes. And this is all the information from the empathy video that was in here, but now it just looks a little bit different being in Sway. Okay, so let's go into the edit button to see what we can do with this PowerPoint. So one of the first things I would like to do is to clean up this right here. I'm just going to back up. And in Sway, these are called cards. In PowerPoint, these are called slides, but in Sway, these are cards. So you can see all these cards that Sway has. And there's a little bit different language in Sway. So emphasize means bold. So if you want to bold something, like if we want to bold this title, I'm going to highlight it and press emphasize, and that will automatically bold it for us. And if we want to italicize something, in Sway, that is called accent. And then our link buttons look the same. So let's look at this background right here. So to insert a picture or something to go with this title, I would just click here. Then over here on the right-hand side, I would put in something that goes with empathy. So let me just search and see what we have over here. If I say empathy for kids, and I'll say cartoon, so it will search an empathy cartoon for kids. So we can look here and see what we have, some different ideas that it's giving to us. All right, and I think I might use this picture of the kids right here, a diverse group of kids, and I'm going to check that, and I'm going to make that picture a focus point. And focus point means that I want the picture to stand out. Instead of being in the background, I want this picture to stand out. So I'm going to click focus point, and then there's another button over here where Sway will automatically kind of like shrink this or edit or cut the picture for you, but I want to use this whole picture. So if I want to use this whole picture, I'm going to check this box right here where it says the entire image is important. So I'm clicking that. Now if we come back here and look at the slides, you're going to see that all these slides are connected with this little plus sign. And that means they're all connected together. So what we want to do, if we want to separate some of these to give emphasis and part ones or part twos. So when I click this plus sign, it kind of separates it from the next slide. So the next slide, I'm going to click heading, and the next slide will be section 1, and I will have a heading in here. So empathy, let's put up here, because here we have, I'm going to put in here, what is empathy? So something I want my students to know and what this lesson is about. What is empathy? In this background right here, there's some other pictures, but since empathy is about putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, I'm going to search shoes here, and there's some different kinds of shoes. And I'll pick this purple one, and I'm just going to drop it into the box. I'm just going to drag it over here, drop it in the box. It's as simple as that. Let me make that a focus point, and the entire image is important, and then I'm going to go on. What is empathy? And she has a text card here, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Now I'm going to separate this from the next slide and do another heading card. Then for the second heading, I see where she has some answers to that question here in this PowerPoint. So I'm going to get rid of these 2 blank text cards. And she's asking the question again right here. I'm going to take it out. And I'm going to use these bullet points right here to talk about what is empathy. Putting yourself in the next person's shoes, understanding another person's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. And then we're going, here's a quote. So I'm gonna move this down. I'll make a heading here. I'm going to take this sentence and I'm going to put it here as a heading right here. And this is going to be like a part 2. So I have a part 1 and a part 2. So these are going to be breaks that are coming up in this way. So it's just going to clean up the sway or appealing for the students when they're looking at it. Since I put that card up here at the top for number 2, I deleted it. I'm going to ignore that quote right now and go on to this card where I made another heading. This is section 3. There's a video about empathy, and this is part of the one that we saw before. So I'm going to add that statement up here. It's emphasized. This is a repeat card, so I'm going to delete it. And then here is the video right under it. And these buttons right here are for small, medium size, and big. So I want this video to stand out a little bit. So let me make it big because I want the kids to look at this video and to see it and know that that's important. The next section here is where she has quotes. So I'm going to have another heading. So every time I have a heading, it will make a new section. So this section is going to be quotes on empathy. Okay, so here is one quote right here from Alfred Adler. And she has a second quote here. So let me just take one of these quotes and I'm going to put it on a different card. So I'm going to just add another card down here, another text card, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to delete that statement out. So there's different kinds of cards. You have text cards, you have text cards, you have picture cards. Oh goodness. And video cards. So you have a choice of different kinds of cards when you put it in here. All right. So let's say I wanted to add a quote here. So I have this one quote, and I think the other one I just accidentally deleted it. And I have this quote right here. I'm going to see if I can drop it down to a new card. So I made a new card for this quote. This was a picture with a quote under it. I'm going to make this quote with the little girl bigger. I'm going to make it a focus point with the entire image as being important, and I'm going to make it bigger. This quote with the kids together, I'm going to also make this picture a focus point, and I'm going to make it bigger. Focus point, and right here, check the little box to make sure that the entire image shows up and that nothing is taken out of it. For this quote, I'm going to make this quote a little bit bigger. So all my quotes will be large for the kids to see. This one right here. And then I'm going to show you a feature that Sway has that is really interesting for the kids. So here's another quote. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to make it a focus point. And the entire image is important. I don't want any of that quote deleted or cut off or edited. And this is the last quote. I'm going to make it a focus point. I want the entire image in there, and I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to take those quotes now, and I'm going to put them together in a group. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to click all the ones that I want together in my group of quotes. And I'm going to click the group button now. Group those quotes together. And then Sway is going to ask me, how do I want to group these quotes? On one page like this, all together? Or do I want to group them as a stack? Would I like to group them as a grid? And another option is to group them into a slideshow, just like on PowerPoint. So you can actually have a PowerPoint in your Sway. So for this group of quotes, I'm going to group them together as a stack. All right, and then right here will be a new set and a new heading. But for right now, let's just see what we have so far from that PowerPoint. And I'm going to press play and see how my Sway looks. So empathy, grades K to 3. This picture is a little grainy. Here's my picture of shoes. What is empathy? Now you can kind of see like some of that when it's a heading, it just kind of pops out at you. So this Sway can be played automatically for the students, or when you're showing it in a live lesson or we're in face-to-face, you can show this Sway and then just have the buttons will just come up automatically. So here is the video, and the play button is right there.
Empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share feelings of another person.
So I'm going to scroll back down. So quotes on empathy, and here are the quotes, and this is in a stack. So let's see how this looks. So we're just going to click through here, and the kids will be able to do this. If you're showing it on a large screen in your classroom, you can talk about each one of those quotes, and you could make it bigger as well. And it's just a little bit different in this presentation as opposed to a PowerPoint. And then here's her read aloud clicks. Each of these links are clickable, but we can go back into Sway and clean it up so that it will be a button like this, using the share buttons that are in YouTube video. Here's her brain break, the floss dance. And then she has a little gift here, another link, so we could go back into this Sway and clean it up. And an activity, this made a heading. Sway automatically made this a heading because I did not do that. And here we have empathy games and activities, which this could be a separate heading. And then for parents and teachers, this could be a separate heading. So I might want to make this one a separate heading, empathy games and activities, and this one a separate headings for parents and teachers. Now right here at the end, I could add in an exit ticket or a form, And I'll just show you just a couple things about exit tickets and forms that are for PowerPoint. All right, so I'm going to go into forms, and let's say I want to create a form for empathy. And I will call this like a new quiz. So we'll just call this empathy. And so in forms, it will allow you to ask questions, and it will also allow you to review the responses from the students. So if we add new, let's make it an open-ended response. Name one way to show empathy if someone falls down. And then they can answer in the text box. And then I might want to add a rating for the next one, just make it simple. I learned at least one new thing about empathy. And then they can rate that in stars, anywhere from 2 to 10 stars. So they like filling in stars, I'll give them 10 stars to rate themselves, and so on like that. When I have my forms completed as a survey or a quiz, I'm ready to share it, and I'll just add some color or theme in here. I press the share button, and it gives me a link right here to copy it. And when I press copy, it automatically gives me that link, and then I'm ready to go into my Sway and put it in there. Okay, and then because I have a lot of, when you come into the responses and you want to see what has happened, forms will actually give you the names of the students and their responses. And say you had 6 questions in there, and if they were open-ended responses or choices, Sway will give you the names of the students, and then you'll be able to upload it into Excel spreadsheet to be able to see all 6 of their responses at one time. And that's information that is useful to share with teachers or parents if there is something of a concern or something that you could talk with the child about separately. So because I have a lot of names in there, I'm not going to be able to share that at this time. Okay, so we might have some time for questions.
Can you go back and show us how to drop the form into your Sway?
Okay, we're going to take this. I'm going to take this copy right here, copy the link right here, and I'm going to go back into the Sway. So we are in edit mode right now. So I'll go all the way down, and it's showing you all the cards again, because in edit mode it's called a storyline and how you design your Sway, and it has each card. So right here I'm going to insert a new card. I'll make a new heading right here, and I will call this one exit ticket. And then there's this link button right here. So I'm going to click the link button, and I'll say, click here for your exit ticket. And under the web link, I'll paste in the link, and right here it will have exit ticket, and click here for your exit ticket. So when students click here, they'll be able to get the exit ticket. I can include a picture right here, so I'll click that, drag an image here, let me go back to the theme of shoes about empathy. And I don't know if you noticed that Sway already gave me some ideas. Sway knew that I was looking for things for empathy, and it already had some ideas there for me. This is kind of neat with all the different shoes in it. I'll just drag it over there, and I'll make that picture a focus point as well, the entire image, and now it's uploaded in there. Okay, so now when kids go here to the link, when we're in play mode, so now I'm playing my Sway. This is how students would actually see it. And this is one thing I want to clean up right here. This one came out nicely. I might want to make this a new heading right here and take out that URL and put it into a button. And click here for your exit ticket. And I might even want to take out the word exit ticket right here. So when I click here for the exit ticket, it's going to automatically take me into forms. So it thinks I'm a student, and it tells the student's name up here. So if your name is Jennifer, hi Jennifer, it knows it's me, and it will recognize each student will be able to fill out the form one time. So hi Grace, when you submit this form, the owner will be able to see your name and email address. One way to show empathy if someone falls down, and I can type in my answer here, and I learned at least one new thing about empathy, and then I'll be able to fill out how many ever stars that I want, and then click the button, and it submits this to forms. If I go back into forms, I'll be able to see it after lots of students are in there. So let me go back into forms. Okay, so here's, I didn't write anything in into the text box as a student. It says I have one response, so I can go in there and look at it. It took that person 37 seconds to complete it. And if I click on name one way to show empathy, I can look at the details here, and there was no response. But if I wrote down something, it would show that response. And I learned at least one new thing about empathy, and it's going to total all of it's going to show the name of the student and how many stars they gave it. It's going to, if there were true and false questions, it would tell you they answered true or they answered false. If it was multiple choice, it will tell you if they picked A, B, C, or D, it'll tell you the answer that they picked. And if it's free response, it'll actually write out everything that the student typed in there. And just a variety of things, whatever you had for your question, it will tell you. And if I had, say, 1 question or 10 questions, it will, I can see everything. If I open it into Excel, it will tell me the names of all my students and the answers to all their questions all together at one time. So I can get a lot of information about this. Or in forms, it will tell me how many students looked at it, and in Sway, it will tell me how many students have seen that Sway. All right, so at this point, does anybody have a question about Sway or PowerPoint, or dropping your PowerPoint into Sway?
So I think, Grace, some of the things that have come up is why Sway?
Well, in PowerPoint, sometimes the students have to go in there and they have to press the play button and start from the beginning. And for some students, it's difficult to do that unless the PowerPoint is set up where it will automatically be set up like that for them to play their PowerPoint. In Sway, when it's sent to the students, they're going to automatically see it in the play mode, and it will automatically start going through the slides for them. And when they see the things kind of pop out to them like this, and they are also going to see those play buttons come up with that familiar triangle, so that they will know to do that. In PowerPoint, it will come up the same way. but sway is just a different way to present the same information and kind of makes it a little bit interactive for the students instead of just going into slides. So in sway, we can make these stacks, or we can have a little PowerPoint within sway, and these can be presented in different ways. So it's just a different way to present information to the students.
Someone wanted to know, can you add the form's exit ticket to the PowerPoint first and then drop into sway?
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
Someone was asking, how do you use the analytics feature in sway?
Okay, so there is an analytic feature there. When I go into sway, I'll usually see my data right here. Okay, so here it is. If I just scroll down a little bit, maybe there's no data for this Empathy K-3 because it was just made 3 minutes ago and I haven't really shared it with anybody. So if I scroll down a little bit, I made an empathy sway for kindergarten through 5th grade, so I can see yesterday that I had 11 views, and right here it gives you some of this data. The average time spent was 2 minutes, 62% of average completion. Three people glanced at it, 3 people gave it a quick read, and 5 people gave it a deep read. This one on transition to middle school, I uploaded to the 5th grade students on Tuesday. So it says that I have 83 views on this sway, 2 minutes average time spent, which I don't know if that could be correct, but that's what it's saying. 56% of average completion time, 34 students glanced at it, 21 students gave it a quick read, and 28 students gave it a deep read. So I think, too, what has happened that some of my 5th graders came in here and probably looked at it 2 times, because I don't have 83 5th graders. I have less than that. So this is a sway that I did on COVID-19, and this was back a couple weeks ago in May. So 37 views and 11 glanced at it, 5 a quick read, and 21 with deep reads. So that's some of my sway data right here.
Someone was asking if they're a Google district, can they use this? And then they went in and they said, yes, they were able to do that. Even if the school district uses Google, you can use sway.
Just like PowerPoint, almost everybody can use PowerPoint now. This button right here would be if you wanted to just build your sway from a blank slate. When you go in here to see it and you put your title in here, like let's say responsibility, sway now knows that you're going to try to create something on responsibility, and it gives you some of its own search things like animals, backgrounds, food, nature, and responsibility is right up there at the top. So if you are, let's say we're looking for a YouTube video on responsibility, we can come up here to this search bar right here, and we can say responsibility. Let's say we're looking for a book, responsibility book for kids. And let's see what sway will find for us in YouTube. So it looks like we have some ideas. So it's important that when you find a book or a song or whatever it is, that you vet it properly. So this one looks like R is for responsibility. Let's take this book. Let's say we vetted this book already and we want to use this book. So I'm going to break it up right here and say the next thing I want to talk about is let's read this book. Let's read together. Or here's a cool book on responsibility. This is a blank text card that it already gave me. I'm going to throw it away. And here's the book. And I want to make this a large because the book is going to be important. I'm not going to put a caption here. I can't read the title of the book. I'll do it. Taking Responsibility. I will do it. So I'll do it. And I will emphasize that. And since it's a title of the book, I'll, vet this before I actually give it to students. But let's just say I already did vet this storybook. So this is just one example of how Sway can help you build your sway. Sway will help you build your sway. So right here, let's have a song about responsibility. Sing a responsibility song. And then right here, instead of a responsibility book for kids, let's put in a song. Let's find a responsibility song for kids. And Sway finds these songs for us about being responsible. This looks like a cute one, being responsible. So let's drag it over here. And Sway gives us this song. Let's make this, let's make it medium, so it's just a little bit different. If I want to put another image up here to go with this heading card, I can do that. Instead of being in YouTube, I can come down to Bing Images right here and put in let's say kids sharing cartoon. I like to use cartoons with the kids. They like cartoons. So here comes some cartoons with kids sharing some ideas about being responsible, or actually sharing's more about respect, but we'll just put it in here and just see what happens. I'll make this a focal point with the entire image, and then I might come down here and say, let me emphasize this, and then I might want to do one more and have a quote about responsibility. So I'll just say, I'll keep it in a Bing image, and I'll say a quote about responsibility. And this would be the beginning of my lesson for the face-to-face classroom, or that one's nice, and this one's nice too. I'll just add it in there. I'm going to make sure that the whole image comes up and not cut off. And let's see what it looks like so far. So this is the beginning of the lesson that I would have in class. So I have responsibility. And this one is going horizontal for me instead of vertical. Sing a responsibility song, being responsible, friendship is the sweet opportunity, and that's the end of it. Okay, so let's go back into the sway, and let's look at some other different things in here to edit this or design it. I can ask Sway to mix this up for me. Right here at this remix button, I can say, Sway, can you design this for me? Press the remix button, and now Sway gave me a pink background, and now it's vertical. So here's your choices right here: vertical, horizontal, or you can present it as slides. So this would be vertical, this would be horizontal, and this would be looking like slides.
So Grace, we have a couple of questions. Well, one's a comment. They said it looks similar to a web page, which kids are familiar with. I would agree with that. What do you think?
It just pops a little bit differently, but it looks cleaner than a PowerPoint. So, yeah, it kind of does look a little bit like a web page, and I'm sure you could pop this into a web page. It's very easy to email to the students, and it's very easy to post, like on Microsoft Teams when we post those for the students.
Okay, we have a comment that, a question that says, is this mostly geared to be used during these virtual times, or could you give an example of when you would have students view PowerPoints on their own in direct instructional settings?
You can use that in a variety of ways. So, because I'm considered, in my school, I'm considered as resource, and the resource time for sharing live lessons with students is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon during these times. That's a difficult time because after lunch, students are pretty much done. And so I get more response from students when I post my PowerPoints or sways on the, on Teams for them or in different channels. I get more responses from them. If I post a PowerPoint, I get a better response if I record the PowerPoint with a voiceover, if that makes any sense, instead of just giving them a PowerPoint to look at, because it seems like they can mess with the PowerPoint. But if I give them a sway, they only have the ability to look at it and they can't do anything to it. And that is a good reason for using the sway that we have found in this time. When we organized everything through PowerPoint, it gives you the ability to pick and choose what you want off of the PowerPoint. So, for example, if I was only looking for a song having to do with anxiety or a book having to do with anxiety, I could just pick and choose the things that I wanted to. So that was very good about organizing everything in a PowerPoint. Or if I wanted something for the parents, a parent resource on COVID-19, I could find that in the PowerPoint. Something about hand washing. You can pick and choose the things that you want off of the PowerPoint. In Sway, it's a whole presentation, and in face-to-face classrooms, it's easy to present the Sway because you just put it up there with your projector on the big screen and you just go through the Sway, the same as you would presenting a PowerPoint in the classroom. In PowerPoint, you can delete the slides, or not delete them, but just not show the slides that you don't want to, or skip over them. But in Sway, you're just going to get everything. In PowerPoint, you can go through the PowerPoint and hide the slides that you don't want to use. And in Sway, you would have to go back and delete those cards that you don't want to use. I don't know if there is a way to just hide the card temporarily if you didn't want to use it.
So Grace, if you clicked on that data that you showed us earlier, would you be able to tell who did the deep reads or who did the glances or not?
I don't think so. I've never been able to find that. I can find that in forms, but I can't find that information in Sway. It's kind of general information in Sway data.
Okay. Do you have any concern about the copyright for adding a book?
Sway automatically gives that to you. So when we are designing it and say we want to insert something right here, it says, see where it says Creative Commons only? You are responsible for respecting others' rights, including copyrights. If you leave this open, Sway will give you everything. But if you click Creative Commons only, then it's only going to allow you to see the things that do not infringe on someone's copyright. So that is a really awesome feature that it has right here.
People are saying, great presentation on Sway. Hadn't heard about it before. It's less boring than PowerPoint. Thank you, very informative. Will this be made available to us? The recording will be made available. Grace has like a click sheet, I guess, of instructions. Is that how you would say it, Grace?
It's just a little tip sheet, but really the best thing to do if you want to learn Sway is to go into Microsoft or to YouTube videos and look at the tutorials for Sway. There are some people out there that have Sway for teachers, Sway for professionals, and depending on the kind of job that you are doing or your purpose for the sway. And I found those to be very informative when I was using sway, because somebody is presenting to you and they're showing you where those buttons are and the different things that it can do. It's showing you more about the cards and the images and the sizes and all that kind of thing. So it's a whole lot better when somebody's right in front of you showing you instead of reading about it. So I would recommend those tutorials.
And I know that we have some other people on here besides elementary. Can you talk a little bit about how you think it could be used in high school or middle school?
Well, the same thing, like high school, if you had a list of, graduation requirements, everything you need to do in your senior year, for example, each one of those things could be put into a heading, because every time you put something in a heading, that will pop across the screen. You can change the colors and, the format. You can take a document that you have in Word, say you build an outline in Word for middle school, high school, elementary, or anybody, and you have an outline with some different points in there. You can go to start with a document in Sway. You can drop your Word document into Sway, and Sway will build your Sway for you just based on that Word document. You cannot do that with PowerPoint. PowerPoint, you would have to copy and paste everything into a slide, but with Sway, it'll automatically create cards for your text and build the Sway for you.
Great, thank you. Grace, we have another question. Does this have a feature to convert the Sway into Spanish or Creole?
That's a good question, and I don't know if it will do that.
Don't see any other questions in the chat box right now. So I guess if we are without further questions, I want to thank you, Grace, for presenting to us today. I know I've learned a lot about Sway, and I'm excited to see what I can do with it for my students. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Grace.
All right, thank you, Jeannie.